Hello everyone watching at home, we are Adelaide Eternal and we're bringing you round 4 of our recent Legacy tournament. So we bring you 3 different formats in the South Australia region, that's Highlander, Vintage and Legacy, and I'm Sarven McLinton. You're here in the booth with Beckett Wolfe.
G'day guys, and obviously it's Legacy today. We've got on the left Rick Borgas on a tasty Reanimate, and on the right Socrates Stavropoulos.
Stavropoulos.
And he's on Show and Tell.
Alright, let's take a look at the lists. So first up, we will see Rick's list. So this is an import from a list that top 8'd relatively recently in a big tourney. It's Black-Red Reanimator. So most of you will be familiar with the Reanimator lists that have blue in them, and you get to play Brainstorm and all of that. But he's foregone Brainstorm, and instead a sleek, aggressive build that wants to combo out on turn 1.
Sleek's definitely the word I would use. He has no fluffing about. It's mana, hand hate in the form of Forethought Sees One on Mask, the 4 Entombs, and then Fatties and Reanimate spells. There's nothing else going on. It's really, really strict.
Yep, I like it. And if we see some turn 1 wins here, then we'll count ourselves lucky. It does combo often on turn 2 because you can entomb at the end of your opponent's turn, and then when you untap, you get to cast pretty much any of your reanimation spells that cost 1 or 2.
That's what the original blue version did, and it ran Daze and Force to protect that, and I believe it ran a Thought Seize or 2, some lists, and then obviously Ponders and stuff to look for it, but
now we're all in on Broken Mana, right?
All in on Broken Mana, so he's got 4 Dark Rituals, 3 Lotus Petals, 4 Simian Spirit Guides, and he runs Ancient Tomb as well, so yeah, it's really slick. I love it.
I also like the disruption in there, not only the hand disruption, but also the Chancellor of the Annex, which you can reveal at the beginning of the game, and it essentially counters your opponent's first spell unless they pay 1, which is enough to usually allow you to combo off as quickly as possible.
And Sock's list, prepare to travel back in time as we delve into 2008.
We're time walking back to before Jace the Mind Sculptor was printed.
And we have 2 Backdoor Evictions in Sock's Show and Tell deck in the main board. And just in case that wasn't enough, we've got 1 in the sideboard as well. He's got that in there because he can access his sideboard using mainboard cards in the form of the Cunning Wish. So he's got 3 Cunning Wishes in there. Otherwise,
instants, which is nice. But I've talked to Socrates about the Factual Fictions before, and he is very much
adamant.
He's very keen on the idea of being able to do as much as possible when you have Omniscience out. So he found that he was frustrated when casting Omniscience and then not actually having any card draw, not aside from maybe a Ponder or something, and sometimes you just peter out and you're not able to seal the deal. But when he's got his Factual Fiction, which he can cast for free, so the 4 mana cost is irrelevant, he gets to look at often 2 or 3 cards, which is enough for him to just continue the chain, keep going, and then win that same turn.
Should we get down to the game, Sal?
Sounds good. All right, so we have them just deciding on their mulligans. I believe Rick has mulligan to 6, and so he's going to get a scry as well. Socrates is on 7.
Yeah, that's right. The other thing about Sock's list is he doesn't actually have Sneak Attack, which
he's mono blue, isn't he?
Yeah,
essentially.
Well, he's got 3 Volcanic Islands in the main board.
The sideboard
Pyroblast. Yeah, he doesn't actually have any red spells in the main board.
So we have a possible turn 1 kill here with some Entomb and reanimation spell, some fast mana. But did you see a Grizzlebrand to actually reanimate?
I didn't see the fatty. But he's got Entomb, so yeah, and there's an Ancient Tomb there, so he's got the fast mana.
So the Entomb will find some kind of fatty to go into the graveyard.
It's a really good hand, and I was about to say, how often do you think this will happen? But
well, clearly it must happen enough to make the blue version obsolete, and the blue version would combo out on it will reanimate a creature on turn 2. It would get Grizzlebrand out quite consistently on turn 2. So this has to be faster.
Yeah, it's got to be faster, and the fact that it's just playing so much fast mana, and it's got 4 Animate Dead, 4 Exhume, 4 Reanimate. That's 12 cards devoted to it.
Yeah. Here's a Dark Ritual off the Lotus Petal.
I don't remember if the original... Does the original blue version run 12 Reanimate spells?
I'm not sure. I think the blue-black or blue-black-red version originally had most of those slots filled by Brainstorms and Ponders and other things to just smooth out your draws.
Yeah, he's also got 4 Chancellor of the Annex. I've seen that card a bit in traditional blue lists of people tinkering around with 1 or 2 or 3. In this case, Rick's got 4. I really like the card. It's a fatty. It's not a fantastic fatty, but...
There's a fatty in the graveyard, Sire of Insanity.
Oh.
It's a big guy. It costs 6 normally, but he's going to reanimate it. It's
Wow.
a big guy, and it
This
basically
is looking
says,
like a turn 1 win.
Yeah, end of every turn, everyone discards their hands. So it's a way to capitalize on the fact that you don't have any hand at the end of comboing, and your opponents pretty much always have. If you're on the play, they will never have a hand. If you are on the draw, then you can often get the blue player who's used up only 1 or 2 cards.
That's right. I think most often Grizzlebrand would be the choice, but in a situation like this...
Yes, we see the concession from Socrates.
Look at that.
Instead of discarding his hand at the end of Rick's turn, he's not going to give any information on what he's playing and just going to go to game 2.
Oh, geez, Sarva.
Well, that's
I
turn
guess we
1
could...
win. We could classify it as a turn 1 win because we know the
so.
Sire would attack with 4 times in a row, and that's enough to deal it.
No, that was beautiful. That's exactly what Sire is meant to do. That's really, really impressive from Rick.
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't even had much of a chance to delve into it, and he's already won. And now we're going to go to sideboards.
So the advantage here is to Sock because he gets to... he knows what his opponent's on. He gets to sideboard accordingly, and his opponent doesn't necessarily know what he's on. But if you know Socrates, you know he's playing something blue.
Unfortunately for Sock, however, he has devoted his sideboard to a Cunning Wish plan. So it's a bit complicated, but he sacrifices a traditional sideboard to allow his main board experience to be a lot better because he can Cunning Wish for versatility. So he Cunning Wishes to search for a bunch of instants. It could be Misdirection. It could be Through the Breach. I love that. Firemind's Foresight, which is really good when you have Omniscience out. It essentially lets you win. And I really love it. It's a lot of fun to play, but it does make it tough post-sideboard because you don't have too much to work with. And you've also got to really think because sometimes it might be better to leave something in sideboard because the Cunning Wish gives you access to it.
This is true. So what do you think you would bring in this matchup? Is there a Surgical Extraction?
There's one Surgical Extraction.
That's important.
That's
it. There's a Fizzle Flom. Always very useful to have Flusterstorm to prevent them from having that Dark Ritual or just counter whatever they cast off the Dark Ritual, the first thing they cast off it.
I think that might be it. So I think it might just be Flusterstorm and Surgical. But do you even want to do that because you want a Cunning Wish for them?
Basically you'll never get to Cunning Wish because your opponent will win by turn 2 or 3.
That's true in this scenario. It is very true. Wow. Rick's sideboard, I love.
So there's Collective Brutality, which I assume is, if for those who don't know about that card, you have 3 modes on it, cost 2 mana, and you get to essentially duress, but for instance or sorceries, is that right? And or you can choose to give a creature -2/-2, or you can drain 2 life and gain 2. However, it has the option to escalate, so you can discard cards to choose the additional modes up to all 3 modes. And if you've ever played a reanimation deck, sometimes the trick is getting the creatures into your bin and allowing you to discard to get them in the bin and also escalate to do 2 or 3 of these modes is really amazing.
Yeah, it takes pressure off the Entombs, lets you utilize those dead Grizzlebrands in hand and pitch them to actually do something worthwhile. I really like it. I would personally have assumed you run the main board, but it just goes to show just how tight Rick's deck is that he's not even letting a 2-mana spell like Collective Brutality into his main list.
Yeah, lean and mean. So Here I bring in Iona, because obviously your opponent is essentially on a mono blue deck. So that's a really nice one to reanimate. It basically says, I win. There's no way that they have any way out of that.
I think the best part about Rick's sideboard is for sneak attack. It's a legitimate amount devoting to it, and it's just a way of... I mean, geez, would he even side that in essentially every game? Because he plays the heavy reanimate, people side in Graveyard Hate, and then he sides in 4 sneak attacks to get them at a different level. All those Grafdigger's Cages and Rest in Pieces are now irrelevant, and that's really nice. It keeps his main board game 1 tight, almost not a guaranteed, but a very close to a guaranteed win. And he gets ruined sideboards against a lot of Graveyard Hate, but not anymore.
Well, his hand has an Animate Dead, has a lot of land and 2 Faithless Lootings, but when you got Faithless, it's great because you just discard those extra lands you don't need.
That's right. And you can just say, look, I don't have the gas, but,
I'll draw
Faithless Looting will draw 2 more.
And this is really good here in that even though he may not know what Sock is on, he can bring in the sneak attack plan anyway because he knows that his opponent knows what he's on, and he can guess that a Grafdigger's Cage or some other kind of hate card is going to come out for the graveyard.
That's right. Yeah, really, really interesting. He's also got a few other fatties in there. Sire of Insanity in the sideboard, Iona, Grave Titan, Elishnon. So,
okay, I can see some cards in Sock's hand. At least he's got land. We know that there's some islands. So
there's an island.
There's an island. Oh, here we go. Yep. So Brainstorm, Omniscience, and 2 Omniscience. And a Gitaxian Probe. So it's not ideal because it doesn't have any interaction early, but he is on the play and he's going to get to Brainstorm. So it's essentially, a 10. He has mulligans, so a 9-card hand that he can see.
Would you lead with a Probe here, Sarv?
Yes, always. Life total doesn't matter in this instance.
It's a sorcery, Sarv.
That's right. So in this case, looking at information, whilst often we want to look at information later in the game because you're going to get more information in the hand after his Faithless Looting than the like. However, Socrates lost on turn 1 before he even had a turn, so he's operating on the assumption that he might not actually get a turn 2, so using it now is important.
Rick's deck's faster. Sock doesn't really have much to interact, but Sock's on a fast deck himself.
Yeah.
And I think Rick should respect that.
So he's really just brainstorming now. I assume that he just wants information now and the option that if Rick draws a Pyroblast, because he is on red, he doesn't want to get Pyroblasted. So that's why he's doing it main phase.
Yeah, that's fair. And he didn't see too much. He didn't see Thought Seizures or anything like that, so he's not 100% sure, and you can assume that Faithless Looting comes down first. So here Rick is doing the gentleman play and leaving his hand open. Really useful for us too. Yeah, thanks, Rick.
Yeah, good
Shout out to Rick.
And he's just discarding a swamp and probably another land here because he is land flooded.
Yeah. The question is, do you need the Ancient Tomb? Because I don't think the life is too relevant.
The other Faithless Looting.
Is that because he wants to Ancient Tomb and he can start flashing back anyway?
Yes,
it's interesting.
Or he could be building up to Sneak Attack. If he drew Sneak Attack in his hand, he's able to keep the Ancient Tomb to be able to play the Sneak Attack.
Yeah, that's a very good point, so I didn't think about that. And I think he's still going to have plenty of gas. Maybe he just knows the deck well enough that he knows I'm not going to need a Faithless Looting more than 3 times.
Yes, yeah.
So
life total isn't relevant for him against this.
It's pretty irrelevant. I have played against this list of Socks, and I can understand the fact of fiction when often he'll get in with the Emrakul, take me down 15 life, and I actually survive and come crawling back. So
lose all your permanents, you're on 5, then he doesn't have any action.
But to be honest, look at Rick's deck. Like, if there's any deck that could come back, it's probably Rick's. Like, takes 15 damage, loses a land, and then Dark Writs and just goes for it.
So Socrates is cracking a fetch land here on turn 2, so he's shuffling away 1 card of his hand away. It's probably going to be the second Omniscience because he had 2 in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, what's Sock looking for? I reckon he's looking for Ancient Tomb.
Yes, yes. There is an issue here, though, that if he goes Ancient Tomb, Show and Tell, and Rick of those 2 cards drew Grizzlebrand or something else, he's basically done Rick's work for him. Because there's 2 unknown cards and 3 known cards from Rick.
It's got to be scary for Sock to show and tell against a deck that's running 3 Grizzlebrand, 4 Chancellor of the Annex, 1 Sire of Insanity, not to mention potential sideboard candidates.
Yep, got that right. At least they're not running Emrakul. There's often the times where, for those decks that are playing Show and Tell versus Show and Tell, and you cast a Show and Tell, but your opponent also puts an Emrakul into play, it's their turn next, and they get to attack you with it.
Yep, I've definitely gotten Sock with that one, personally. And maybe that's why Sock started playing the Omniscience version, is because Omniscience actually sort of gets around that. You get to drop the Omniscience and then cast Emrakul, getting the cast trigger, which is to take an extra turn. So
that's nice. So he's using Preordain here after he's shuffled away that top card with the fetch land. So he's just trying to sculpt his hand and making sure he has protection. The fetch of the Volcanic Island here is telegraphing that he has some kind of piece of interaction like a Fizzleflom or something. But leading off with Thoughtseize is going to do most of the work for him here. We're going to see everything in the hand.
Is that a Show and Tell and an Emrakul? He's got it. So he's got the Show and Tell, he's got the Emrakul, and he's got the Omniscience.
He had the Ancient Tomb, and he declined to play. Oh no, he could have got the Ancient Tomb off the Preordain.
Yeah, and definitely take the Show and Tell there, because Omniscience really outclasses.
There's always a possibility that he had the Ancient Tomb and he just didn't want his opponent to play a Grizzlebrand, but I'm pretty sure that the Ancient Tomb was drawn off the Preordain, otherwise he would have done that and then cast Emrakul, got an extra turn.
I'd say so, especially after you've probed and know that, at least half his hand isn't Grizzlebrand.
Yeah. So now there's 1 unknown card from Socrates, and he's really, really, really looking for
He's
Show
only
and
got
Tell.
3 left, yeah. And this is one of the downfalls of not playing the sneak attack, but...
Yeah, you only have 1 payoff card, which is 4 of Show and Tell.
Yeah, but it does make his Blood Moon matchup a lot better, I'll say that much.
So here we have another Faithless Looting, but it's flashed back. So he loses a little bit of life, but Rick's going to get to keep sculpting that hand, and he's really engineering a situation where he can get exactly what he wants. And he's been keeping 1 mana open throughout this whole process, so possibly telegraphing that he has a Pyroblast to be able to counter a possible Show and Tell. But here he's tapping it, so here comes a Dark Ritual, and this now game's on. 3 black in the pool, casting Thoughtseize again. Seeing that card, it's just a land. He'll probably take the Emrakul and shuffle his graveyard back in again.
No point taking
2 Omniscience. Yeah. Emrakul hits the graveyard and then shuffles back into the library.
But why did he Dark Ritual? That's what I want to know. What's he got? Has he got the Entomb Reanimate?
Yeah, it's possible that it's coming out now. There's Entomb, so now he's got 1 black mana sitting in his mana pool, and he's now searching his library to resolve Entomb. So he's going to put something big in there.
Sire again?
Hey, I mean, if it's Sire, then
why not?
Then the Socrates can't top deck out of this.
Because
no top.
If you get Grizzlebrand, which it looks like he's done, Sock can still top deck the Emmy, top deck the Show and Tell, and win.
The top deck Brainstorm is the way that Socrates gets out of it, and then he brainstorms into Show and Tell and Emrakul and goes.
But Sire stops that play.
Exactly, yeah. Which is why Sire of Insanity is a more conservative play, but this is far more aggressive because he's going to get to draw 7 cards immediately.
Pressured by the life.
It's possible, but he's trying to use the advantage right now. But when you reanimate, you lose 8 life.
Yeah.
So, I think Sire is the safest play there, but we'll find out. It's possible Sire was in his hand as well.
You gotta, the chance that he hits the Brainstorm, and that Brainstorm hits a Show and Tell, and an Emmy.
Yes.
Is pretty unlikely.
But he can find Show and Tell and some other draw spell. Yeah. And remember, he's got Factor Fictions in here, so that's a lot of drawing you can do off one of those Omnisciences.
Very, very true. But after a draw to 7, you gotta like Rick's chances here.
Yes. So is he trying to seal the deal now here? So he's getting to Faithless Looting, so continuing just to tear through his deck at breakneck speed, trying to find something else. It's not like he needs to pressure his opponent, but he really would like to not lose to a top deck Brainstorm.
He's making plan Bs already, so Looks like it's just a bit of ancient tomb mana in the bin, but the hand's full and it shouldn't take too much longer for.
Yeah, I see a sneak attack in the hand, and so he's still faith suiting and just sculpting the hand, just trying to make it perfect so that there's no possible way that he can lose the following turn or two.
Really, he just wants more Thought Seizers, I think.
Yeah, Thought Seize doesn't protect him from top deck Brainstorm, so he really wants Pyroblast.
Yeah, I'll play that. Pyroblast does seem better than Thought Seizers.
But he has been telegraphing that he might have it because he's kept that red mana open most of the game. So, I'd be in Soc's position as much as you want to play around the opponent having Pyroblast, whether or not it's a bluff or not. The issue is he's priced into having to act because otherwise he'll lose. So here Socrates is going to go down to 3. And then Rick's going to get to either stay at 6 and draw 7 cards, or go up to a nice, healthy life total that isn't actually safe from Emrakul.
That's very true. So probably no point doing it. Just draw another 7.
Yeah, go for it.
Hit your discard phase and drop some more fatties.
So here we go. There's some action here.
Ah.
Stifle. Now that is pretty nice, isn't it?
Okay, that's from Stock's sideboard, by the way.
I
guys.
like it. Very relevant. So it's bought him a turn.
Sort of
bought him a turn. It kind of said 1 blue mana, lose 7 life. There's a pretty nice burn spell. Why isn't Burn playing that? It's specifically only usable when your opponent has Grizzlebrand in play. There's the Pyroblast. That's what there we go.
Yeah, well played from Rick. Really
Very
like
nice.
the deck.
Very nice. Very streamlined. Nice to see. And I think we'll be moving on to our last round. And we might see one of these players in there again.
Thanks a lot, guys. We're Adelaide Eternal. See you next time.